Imagine this. Rome, October 1501. In the Vatican. Candlelight flickers across marble floors, but tonight, the apostolic palace isn't holy. 50 dancers, 20 cardinals, and the Pope himself watches servants scatter chestnuts. Presiding over it all, Pope Alexander VI, smiling like a mob boss, watching the profits roll in. That night would be remembered as the Banquet of the Chestnuts. But really, it was just a teaser. The real story? How Rodrigo Borgia, yes, a pope, turned God's house into the headquarters of Europe's most feared crime family. 1492. Rome swelters under the summer sun. Inside the Sistine Chapel, Rodrigo Borgia hauls in for mules stacked with silver. Every wavering cardinal gets a little encouragement. By the time white smoke curls into the sky, holiness has nothing to do with it. Rodrigo has bought the papacy outright. He kneels before the crowd as Pope Alexander VI. Behind closed doors, he's still scribbling promises. The Vatican was no longer just a church. It was now a business, and the Borgias were in charge. Alexander's plan was simple. The papacy was a throne, and thrones need heirs. Cesare, barely 17, becomes a cardinal before most boys can shave. Juan, the golden firstborn, gets a duchy and a private army. Jofer, the youngest, marries into Naples, plugging spies straight into Borgia intel. And Lucrezia. She's married off again and again, each wedding handing Dad another chunk of Italian territory. This wasn't nepotism, it was empire building. Every bishopric was a pawn, every diocese a dowry, every cousin another rung in the family ladder. Rome's sacred crest may have been the crossed keys of St. Peter, but for the Borgias, it may as well have been crossed daggers. And then there was the whisper on every Roman street, Cantarella. No one knew the recipe. Arsenic, phosphorus, almond oil. But everyone knew the results. Cardinals dropped dead after banquets. Dukes mysteriously caught fevers. Wealthy widows passed away, conveniently leaving their estates to the Pope. Was it real poison, or just the rumor that terrified enemies into handing over land and gold? Nobody could prove it. But in a city already drunk on intrigue, the name Borgia became shorthand for don't trust the wine. If poison ruled in secret, parties ruled in public. The wildest, the Banquet of the Chestnuts. Chroniclers gasped as Alexander Cesare and Rome's nobility turned the Vatican into a circus of wine, dancers, and scandal. Germans printed pamphlets mocking the Holy Father. Rome shrugged and carried on. Alexander understood the game. Fear in the shadows, spectacle in the spotlight. Either way, the Borgias stayed on everyone's lips. But the true power of the family was Cesare. He stripped off his cardinal robes, strapped on armor, and carved his way across Italy. City after city fell. Faenza, Imola, Forlì, all under the banner of the Red Bull, the Borgia crest. Cannons funded by church tithes blasted city walls. Marriage alliances sealed the deals. Machiavelli himself tagged along, taking notes. Cesare was his real-life model for ruthless ambition. When rivals plotted against him, Cesare invited them to dinner and strangled them with silk cords before dessert. By 1502, the Papal States weren't just the Pope's backyard. They were a military kingdom, with Cesare as enforcer and Alexander as CEO. Then, in 1503, fate, or karma, struck. Both father and son suddenly fell violently ill. Poison, malaria, bad wine. Historians still argue. But within days, Alexander was dead, his corpse swollen and blackened like a warning painted by God himself. Cesare survived, but barely. His strength gone, the empire unraveled overnight. Without bribes, cardinals chose popes the old way. Alliances, not auction blocks. Julius II rose, scrubbed Borgia symbols off Rome, and erased their legacy. Cesare fled to Spain, escaped prison, and died on a siege ladder at just 31. Lucrezia retreated to Ferrara, patron of poets, her scandalous past slowly fading. The crime family of the Vatican collapsed as fast as it had risen. So what do we do with Alexander VI? He bought the papacy with silver, filled it with his children, used poison as diplomacy and parties as propaganda. He blurred the line between sacred and sleazy, until no one trusted either. For 9 years, Rome wasn't run by a holy shepherd. It was run by a family syndicate. The backlash was so fierce it helped fuel the Protestant Reformation itself. The Borgias remind us that when faith turns into a business, people start looking for new gods. Shocked? Drop your favorite scandal in the comments and hit subscribe, because history isn't polite tea and dusty books. It's blood, poison, and power plays so wild you'd think they were scripted, except they weren't.